afternoon. Welcome back to the Kickbutt Leadership Conference. I'm Coni Meyers with Kickbutt Leadership.
I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business team.
My beautiful co-host here. And it's been a great conference. We've got this last session that we're doing an interview. Then we have one more that is all about the wrap up of what an incredible event it's been. We've had amazing people on. And the lady that's coming on now is no exception. I just met her. She was on the Hope to Hope conference we did last week. And so I got the opportunity to actually see her in person. Well, not person, but on video for the first time. And her story really captivated me. And what she's doing now, I just really admire. So she has something called Thriving with Health. And then she has something else called Healthy Bites. Health Bites. I'm sorry, Health Bites. And I'm all excited to have her tell you a little bit more about that and how she got there. So, Samantha McConnell, thank you for joining us at Kickbutt Leadership.
Well, thank you, Connie and Kim. It's such a pleasure to be here. And again, thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay, so the same question I ask everybody. Were you a leader as a child?
Oh gosh, it's kind of funny. I was an only child and I was a very energetic child, and I seemed to be the one in the neighborhood that always had these great ideas that my parents might not have thought were great ideas. But I was always looking for something to start, a venture. And so we did lemonade stands. I was the one that got that all together. That was a common occurrence in our neighborhood. But I got the idea one time to make some money that I knew how to sew. I don't know how old I was, maybe 8 or 9. And I knew how to basic sew. I had a little Singer sewing machine, hand cranked. And I got my friend across the street, my best friend, to help me with this. So we took not all, but a lot of my mom's really good towels and cut them up and made little kittens and little doggies. And they were actually kind of cute. We had buttons for their eyes. So being around, I'd probably 9 or 10, we were pretty ambitious to sell these. And unfortunately, they didn't sell. The lemonade did. But I don't know to this day if my mom ever missed those towels. I never told her. And I don't even remember what we stuffed them with. But they were really adorable. We stayed up all night. But we were always coming up with, we had a girls club called the Goofy Girls Club. And we would, get money from the lemonade stands. And then we get a little file box in it. We try to keep it all official. So throughout my childhood, we didn't have the internet then. So our parents said, go outside and come back when the sun sets. So we were always finding things to do. And we were always just trying to be creative about making a little bit of money. We had garage sales. We had carnivals. So I never thought of myself as a leader. I think being an only child too, I was so bored. So I was always looking for something fun to do because my parents were boring and I wanted something fun to do, especially during the summers. I never thought of it that way, but I was always the instigator. I was always the one trying to get everybody together and come up with something to do.
Well, I think that qualifies you.
Oh, yeah. I still want to be part of your Goofy Girls Club.
That sounds like fun. Can we up again?
What's really fun is my girlfriend that I grew up with, she's a year older than me. And we lost contact when we were both around our 30s. So she didn't know I had my kids, none of that. Well, thanks to Facebook, we became connected about 4 years ago. And she lives in Utah now, and she came and visited us and met my kids. But we talked about that. And it was funny, years later, I asked a neighbor, we had a big succulent tree in front of our kitchen window, and we would bury stuff for the Goofy Girls Club. And I said, can you go over there when you get a chance? And they had unfortunately taken the tree down and re-landscaped the property. But I thought, wouldn't that be a kick? If some of that, I don't even remember what we buried. It was silly stuff like friendship rings and all that kind of stuff. But we have a lot of good memories from that. It was fun to get reconnected as adults about that. And because she and I are the only ones that have those memories now, our parents are gone. So a lot of good times.
What a great story. I mean, I grew up on a farm in Nebraska. I had a brother. So the only person I had to play with was I had two sisters that came along 10 years later.
Oh.
But the only person I had to play with when I was little was my brother. And I used to dress him up in doll clothes. And we'll play dolls together for a little bit. But then and I promised always to play trucks with him. And of course, it was always time to go in before we'd be able to do that. always wanted to have girlfriends and be able to play dolls and do exactly what you were talking about, just be doing girl stuff. So that's very cool. What a great story.
And it's precious memories. I remember we would spend hours building the houses for our Barbie dolls. We never played with the dolls. We were more in designing the house and getting it all set up. And by the time it was time to play, it was dinner time and we'd have to take it all back down again. But we used the World Book Encyclopedia. Remember that? And it had wood grain, or appeared like wood grain on the inside pages. So we would put it at right angles all around the house. It was actually quite creative what we were doing, but my dad would come in and all through the living room and through the hallway and the kitchen. He's like, okay, enough. So, but those are just fun memories that I think a lot of our kids nowadays, they're so busy on, their devices that I think they're missing out on a lot of that we grew up with, that, we took for granted. But now I look back and I'm really thankful for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So of those events, those lemonade stands and those carnivals and everything, what are the skills that you still use today that you actually honed back then?
I think for me, if it's something I believe in, it's something I think is going to work, I just do it. I just jump in. I don't think about, what if? Even when I got into health coaching, I actually just got certified as a yoga teacher. And a friend of mine, we were going to teach together at church. And she said, have you heard about this health coaching school? And I said, no. And I loved the food part. When I got trained as a yoga teacher, I also was a raw food chef. I got certified in that. And I loved the food just as much as the yoga, if not more. So I looked into the school, signed up immediately. It's pretty expensive, but it was me. It was like-minded. It was my language. It was my speak. And I knew in my heart and my gut, and it was the best decision I've ever made. And it was a year program, and it was just amazing being surrounded with people that all think like I do and understand things. Especially now, it's becoming more and more available. But back in the day when I talked about eating healthy, even as a teenager, people look at me like, say what? They didn't know what I was talking about. And we used to have some of his family, when we lived out in Seattle, they lived in Oregon, and they would bring, no fooling, ice chest full of all their snacks, their salami, and even real turkey, because they thought I wasn't going to cook a real turkey. They thought it was going to be a tofu turkey. It's like the soy. And so I got a lot of teasing about that. And now his family's coming around and asking me questions about, all kinds of. So it's been fun to see that. But it's been a long journey because people really didn't take it seriously. And losing my parents at a young age made me very aware of that. And I was on a journey to find out what worked and what didn't. And, I did develop eating disorders, and that was an up and down yo-yo. And I knew that to be healthy, eating clean, is a changer. And so it is my goal to help everyone and be part of a ripple effect, as our school says, to help everyone get healthy, and then they can help others get healthy, because we're in a big health crisis right now, especially in the United States. We're one of the richest countries in the world. We should not be suffering and having the health problems that we do today, and our children. I could go on and on. So my goal is, one health bite, like one baby step at a time. And that's how I like to get people's attention.
I love it. Well, you got my attention with that. I love your health bites. They're like short little recipes or short little how-tos on something you can do today to get healthier. And I love it. And thank you, by the way, because we talked about it on Hope to Hope, and then you actually did it.
My salads in a jar.
Yes, I think that was awesome that you did that. And I want to take this back to like the leadership part. When you are starting to do something that everyone else is not really participating in, that shows great leadership on your part. Like, you had a vision of what your legacy needed to be, and your legacy was about, leaving everyone healthier. And so I think that that's a really, that's an important part of being a Kickbutt leader, because Miss Coni recognized in you that you were a Kickbutt leader. And I think that's one of the tie-ins. I mean, I think that's one of the keys is that you are leaving a legacy of health for everyone around you, including me. I mean, I just want you to know you've helped.
Thank you.
Well, and since I just met you, I've just come on, but believe you me, I'm going to be following you very closely because, and that's part of the reason I asked you to be a part of this, because I think that it's really important. It doesn't matter what business we're in, but as a Kickbutt leader, first of all, as a Kickbutt leader, we need to be healthy. Number one.
Yes, definitely.
If you're going to be a good Kickbutt leader, you really need to get your health house in order.
Yep.
And so
I like that.
I do too. Your health house in order. That's really good.
I'm going to work on my health house.
So having somebody that really understands and has her business be about being healthy, I think is a great tool for anybody that's watching this is thinking about being a Kickbutt leader, because it really starts with your health and who you are. And one of the key things you talk about in techniques and practices is exercise. Well, health is right along with exercise. If you're not eating healthy, it's more difficult to exercise, and your brain is not as clear as it could be if you were eating proper foods. So that was the main reason when you started talking about the things you were doing and how it affects the brain and how it affects your life in general. I'm like, you know what? I need to have her on to be really, not in addition to the fact that you are an amazing Kickbutt leader, but also the fact that, I think that people that want to be a Kickbutt leader can learn from, that are going to be listening to this conference, can learn from what it is that you offer. And maybe you could talk just a minute about how eating healthy helps the brain.
Oh my goodness, I could go on forever. But when you think about your brain's about 70% water, and you're not hydrating during the day, and maybe you're drinking a lot of caffeine, which I'm not against caffeine, but it will dehydrate you. Just that alone. Here's these, like my husband's a busy executive, he runs a company, and I'm always asking him, are you drinking your water? Your water, it's so important for your brain. But if you're eating food, for example, if you get up in the morning and you miss breakfast, would you get in your car and not put gas in it? I mean, your car wouldn't go very far if it didn't have any. It wouldn't go at all if it didn't have any in there. But, and I say this to my kids all the time, but our food is our source of energy. And I love to use Dr. Daniel Amen's analogy that if you're eating food that doesn't love you back, why do you love it? It's time to start loving food that loves you back and gives you energy and takes away the brain fog. And it's amazing once you can wean yourself off the processed food, because the processed food, a lot of people think, oh, I don't have the willpower. Well, you've got a lot of chemists and scientists who are manipulating the food you eat so that you will be addicted. And that's the unfortunate truth. And so it is. I mean, it is. We know that. And it's amazing how some of the major food companies in our country are allowed to have that stuff that our kids eat, as well as us, but in Europe, it's not allowed. Same food company. So my way around that is, why eat processed food? I always say if it grew as a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, throw it away, run away from it. So important to get people on the right track and to wean themselves off of those addictions of fast food. And as you wean yourself off, and I talk about crowding out the bad with the good, so that you don't quit. You don't, I don't start people on, okay, forget the coffee, forget the sugar, come on, that's not going to work. But maybe you could crowd out some of that sugar with a piece of fruit, or maybe instead of a hamburger bun, you use a lettuce wrap. It's still a beautiful, delicious burger, but you're just slowly crowding out some of these bad habits. And then what I love over time is your taste buds, which have been trained to like this bad stuff, they start loving the good, clean food. And so an apple is super, super delicious. But I see it in my daughter. She's 18 and she loves sugar and the French fries and stuff. And an apple to her, she'll eat apples, but it's not anywhere as tasty as French fries with ketchup. So, I'm on a mission to get people around that. And I've successfully done that with my middle daughter. She's 25 now, and she eats really well. And she used to struggle. And now she'll just turn her nose up. And I love that. It's like, yes, and my husband's pretty good too. But it's just really, I'm on a mission to slowly with my health bites. They're baby bites. Like Kim talks about her kindergarten analogy of things. I love that. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, simple, simple. And then people are more apt to do it. Drink an extra glass of water, take some fruit. If you're going to eat a couple donuts, could you maybe put an apple in there with the donuts and eat that first before you eat the donuts? So it's little tricks like that are easy that they can implement into their daily lives.
Well, and that just those tips alone are exactly the reason that I wanted you to come on to talk about, because I think as a Kickbutt leader, we have to be very mindful. We have to stay in the present moment. We have to be able to breathe properly.
Yes.
And all of that really boils down to also how we eat. I mean, if we're going to be super sharp as we go into a meeting, breathing is going to help. But if we are tired because of the meal that we have just finished, that is also going to work against us in being able to be a really good mindful leader. And so I think food really plays an important role in what kind of a Kickbutt leader you really can be. So
because if you feel bad, you can't show up well.
No, you can't.
I mean,
and you're not going to remember to breathe. You're not going to remember to take the little walk you need to take to be able to clear your head and get yourself out of autopilot and get yourself back into the present moment. So food really plays, how we're feeding our body really plays an important role on what kind of a leader we really show up as. So, and so showing up as a good leader for whoever our team is. Our team could be, I have a lot of realtors that are clients and friends, and their team consists of home inspectors and mortgage people, and there's lots of realtors are really into food.
Yes.
You want to have a realtor come to an event, you make sure there's food there. So being a good example of a good Kickbutt leader for if one realtor eats well and shows up well and maybe has the right kind of foods at her open house, she's going to be a good example for everybody that's coming through that house. And so I think it all goes hand in hand with all these mindful tools and techniques that I've been talking about for the last few days. So you are on such an incredible path. And I love what you say your legacy is. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about legacy.
Okay. Well, I looked up legacy today, and obviously legacy is you want to leave something behind for future generations or maybe your own family. But what was of interest to me was when I looked it up from the Latin version, from the verb to the noun, it used to be, and it quickly drifted from this, but it was ambassador. That legacy was an ambassador. And I thought, isn't that cool? Because all of us, with whatever our mission is or our purpose, we are ambassadors, and we want to spread that message. And then likewise, we want the people that we serve to spread that message, and then the people that they're called upon to serve. And it becomes, like my school said, a ripple effect of helping all of us by leaving a legacy for future generations that they will in turn leave for them. It's really exciting to think that all of us together, by serving, and those people that we're serving will serve. It goes on, and it's just an incredible, like exponentially, we could really make a positive change in our, especially with me, it's health, but whatever your mission or your purpose is. And that's what is so amazing to me, and where the internet nowadays is so awesome that we can get this message across.
Well, with your message of eating properly and your health bites, I mean, you're creating an incredible legacy that will not only help generations in the future, but also help us stay alive a little longer and a little healthier while we're at it.
Well, and I tell people, don't be selfish, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're selfish, because your family and your friends want you around. I had a great aunt that lived to be 99. I wish she could have made it to 100, and she was healthy most of her life. And I think I get some of that from her, because she just was very plain and simple. But I was fortunate enough to have her in my life that long. And so it's sad now that the statistics are coming up saying that our kids may not outlive us. So it's time to get off your butts, start exercising, eating healthy, help your family to do the same, because you're setting an example. So if your kids see you doing that, they're going to do the same thing. So that's not the legacy we want to leave. So, be the example, be unselfish, realize it's not about you. If you're out there and you've got a purpose and it's not about you and you're serving others, well, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're defeating that. So all that work that you're doing out there is defeating yourself if you're going to be unhealthy and you die before, your kids really get a chance to spend more time with you, or you get to know their grandkids, your grandkids or their kids. And it's sad. I mean, I don't have any family left. I have my immediate family and my children, and I'm fortunate for that. And I have my husband's family. But I know what it's like to lose family and I only had my great aunt. That was it. And she lived in Pennsylvania and I was in California. And I didn't know her well, but after my mom and dad died, long phone bills. This is before, again, the internet and all that and cell phones. But she became my mentor. And she was, I called her a female Archie Bunker. She was really involved politically. She was an artist. And she just was amazing. But she would not settle for plain. She wouldn't settle just to settle. She was always putting herself to be her best. And I think that's what we all have to do. So by leaving a legacy, you want to leave a legacy of teaching others to be their best.
That's just good stuff. You are such an influencer. That's one of the qualities of a Kickbutt leader is to understand your influence and use it well. And I think you qualify on all fronts.
Absolutely.
Oh, you guys, thank you.
I'd like to take that same and move it to like a corporation. So like if you are the leader, maybe you own the business and you come in and you're not watching your health, then that is you create the culture for your business.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And so you create the culture where, it's a 3 martini lunch every day and, and fast food, then that's going to be the people you're going to attract for your business. If you come in and you are healthy and you're eating healthy and when you do go to lunch, you go to a place that has healthy food, that is going to be how you're going to attract the healthy people to your organization. Mm-hmm. So absolutely. I think that really is important to be able to do that. And if you have a healthy organization, there's less sick time, there's less time out for health reasons. There's more time. They're sharper. They're more focused.
Probably more creative.
I'm sure more creative. Yeah. So I think looking at your health and I almost think I need to add an extra tool to the tools I have in Kickbutt Leadership already that really addresses that this is a very strong Kickbutt Leadership mindfulness tool. Being mindful and being aware of how you're presenting your food and how you're presenting your being to your company, to your clients, to your customers, whoever they are, that's going to play a key role in the kind of people you attract to your business.
It's interesting you brought up realtors because I'm still a broker in Washington and I sold real estate in San Diego when we first got married many years ago. And at that time, I don't think it's allowed now, but all the reps would come in and they'd bring in donuts and it was all junk food. And I was on a health mission then. And I thought, wow. And then they finally said they couldn't do that anymore. And I'm like, hallelujah. But you're right about the food. I know a lot of agents, to get agents to come on the open houses, they offer food. And especially if they're young agents, they would love to go and eat all the food they could. But a great example of that is have a healthy spread. Have hummus and veggies and fruit and like fruit dips and all kinds of things. There's so many things you can do. And they're not expensive. But kind of set a presence for yourself that maybe and they have to take care of themselves. And it's interesting. I was at a real estate meeting when I was working in Seattle, and a nutritionist came to our meeting, on our Tuesday meeting, and she handed out construction paper to all of us in beautiful colors, purple, green, orange, yellow. And she had us make a fan with them. And she said, I want this to be your goal as agents, that you eat something every day of every color of these pieces of paper. I thought, wow, that was so visual. But she went on to explain how so many people were dying of cancer, especially salespeople, because of they eat on the go and they're staying up late, or if they're doing traveling or whatever, the nature of the business is, you know, you're your own boss and you tend to work all the time. And that kind of led me into this love. I was already doing food-related coaching and didn't know it, for fun with my friends, you know, just because I cared. But that kind of led me on this journey to where I am now. And I remember after that meeting, I called my husband. I said, you know what? I'm in the wrong business. And he said, I've been telling you that for years. I said, I need to get something with health. I was so passionate. I remember I was driving down the hill by Puget Sound. I said, I didn't even know what a health coach was then. But there was something like God put on my heart. And that woman, I still have her notes and the colored construction paper, because it was such an impactful meeting, and her message. And she scared the agents because she worked with a lot of cancer patients. And it was quite meaningful. And I remember the broker at the time was trying to get them to quit eating the donuts, have healthier lunches. So they were already starting that. And that's probably about 10 years ago. So definitely a field for healthy eating.
So she was an ambassador that started you being an ambassador.
Exactly.
Which created another ambassador. I mean, if you think about it.
Well, and it was so simple because we're all like, what's with this? We're so used to having all these people in selling us, you know, their wares. And she's handing out this, like, you know, kindergarten class construction paper. And we're like, okay. And then she goes, okay, everyone make a fan, hold it up. And we're like, where's this going? But it had such an impact. It was such a simple way to explain her message that everybody got didn't take much. And that's what I love about keeping it simple and making it into health bites. So anybody can walk 5 minutes here, walk 5 minutes there, and you add that up throughout the day. Like agents, if you're talking about a transaction, go walk for 5 minutes while you talk about it. And then walk at lunch, walk it on a break. And you add that up, it can be 15, 20, 30 minutes without you ever scheduling that. And it's a great break for you anyway, just to get out from sitting. I always tell my husband, get up, sit down, stand up, sit down, do that several times, you know, do some arm circles. You know, rule of thumb is about every 50 minutes. You know, entrepreneurs, whoever you are, get up and get moving. You can do jumping jacks, whatever, just get your body moving. It helps your brain, helps your body. It's really good.
Well, you know, this touches on another part that we talked about earlier with time management and self-management. If you walk while you're doing something else, you are not spending any more time. Like, and it almost creates time, because then you feel better in the next 5 minutes because you did that 5 minutes. So, I mean, that is another trick or a hack, I think.
Yep.
Where, you know,
well, if you're talking on the phone, you can quite easily walk while you're talking on the phone. And another trick, and I remember when I first heard this, I thought, oh, no, I can't do that. Go to bed a half an hour early. People go, what? No, I can't do that. I can't do that. Well, think about what a lot of us do before bed. A lot of us are watching TV or on our devices. It's like, go to bed a half an hour early. And then when you get up in the morning, take that half hour that you just earned. That's yours. Do what you want with it. Go for a walk, do some yoga, read scripture, whatever it is, meditate. But that's your half hour. And it's amazing when you try that trick, you feel like you've gotten an extra half hour. You're like, wow, where'd that come from? And it's the same with exercise. You know, you don't have to schedule an hour at the gym every day, because it's really more than that, right? You have to drive there and you have to drive back, and you've got to have the fancy clothes or whatever it is, you know. But if you get in your living room, like I have weights all around my house and yoga mats, and I might have 5-10 minutes and I'll do a couple sets, but throughout the day, that adds up. And I learned that from raising 3 children. I didn't have the time to work out. So I would go down, do a load of laundry, and I'd get my weights and do that. And then I'd go back up, and the kids would drive me crazy. I'd go down and do some more, you know. So there's just, I get it. They're bites. They're little bites that you do throughout your day, whether it's how you're eating or how you're, you know, exercising, or even meditation. You know, people go, I don't want to sit there for whatever. You can do a walking meditation. You can just turn your device off or listen to music, close your eyes, or better yet, I love this walking meditation I do with people. It's the senses. So you go through your 5 senses, and you look at what what you can smell and what you hear. And as you walk, suddenly the brain is totally shut down, and it's only focusing on that one sense that you're focusing on. So it's a really good meditation to do to walk. Another one is just breathe. You know, you talked about breathing, and it doesn't even have to be complicated. You could breathe in for 5, hold for 5, breathe out for 5. You don't have to do all these fancy things unless you enjoy that. But just doing that a couple times throughout the day, it's amazing how it can just stop you from, I like to call it monkey brain. It's like the little wheel on our computer.
Yes.
Well, you've actually touched on about 6 or 7 of the mindfulness techniques and practices that are in the class, and I can't tell you how important each and every one of them are. I mean, and you incorporate them into your day. It's not like you have to say, okay, I'm going to take an extra hour to go do this. No, you take 2 minutes as you're walking to a meeting, or 2 minutes before you pick up the phone, or when you're in your car driving. You take a couple minutes to breathe, to do a couple minutes of meditation, and it does. Your eyes don't have to be shut.
No, they don't.
And just that minute walk of exercise. I mean, those are all things that actually have been scientifically proven to give you more time and to make your life better and make you a better leader all the way around.
And go
ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't really talk much about sleep, but sleep is super important. I mean, if you're not getting the deep sleep, you're not functioning at your best throughout the day, and you'll make some bad decisions. And it's amazing, the studies of people when they've just been deprived maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep, it's like they're drunk, the way they perform the next day. And I think with how busy we all are in our devices, we're trying to cram it all in, and sleep loses out. And they've done another study too, that when you get enough sleep, you make better decisions on the food you eat too.
Oh, I believe that.
So sleep is super important.
I could be that study.
And an easy way to get sleep better, and I no one wants to do it. I know my husband doesn't want to do it. You should not have your phones by your bed. You should have all your devices out of your room. And I know that's hard, but really, like, my husband will wake up middle of the night scratching his head, reading messages. I'm like, is this something you really have to take care of right now, to affect your sleep? Because he has disrupted his sleep rhythm, and that's not good. So he now has stopped doing that. But you really want to not look at your devices a half an hour, an hour before bed, because your brain will not settle down for a while if you do. And if you could just do that, and you would notice a big improvement in your sleep just by doing that. An hour before bed, lock them up. You can read. Reading's fine. You can read before you go to sleep, but they've done so many studies about all our techie stuff. It's a great thing, but not before bed.
That's great advice. And I have to tell you, this is one of the cute things. I know you and I love you. And when Miss Coni met you last week, she didn't even know all this about you, but she recognized that you were a Kickbutt leader. And I giggled because she was like all excited about you coming on. And I thought, you have no idea. She is awesome. So I am delighted that you were on today and showed off. That's exactly.
Yes, thank you so much. Well,
thank you. And I love the Kickbutt leader. I just love that name. That's cute.
So much. I'm just thrilled that you were on, and really all of your wisdom. I mean, you just solidified everything that I've been talking about. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Well, this is the 17th session of Kickbutt Leadership. And we'll be coming back to do a wrap up of not just today, but the event itself at 4:30 Central Time, 2:30 Pacific Time. And I'm Coni Meyers with Kickbutt Leadership.
I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business Team.
And if you want to find out more about the Kickbutt Leadership course, just go to kickbuttleadership.com. And there's two links to tell you more about it.